How's it going, everyone? It's Savi from Mother SpongeBob. Today is May 5th, 2021, and today we're going to take a look at the next major cooldown that's expected to happen in the United States and the potential for the next severe weather threat that could occur later next week into the Southeast. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So first, we're going to take a look at the Arctic oscillation index, and you might be wondering why am I going to show you this first. Well, it's because it gives a good idea of the reason, one of the primary reasons why we're going to see a pretty big cooldown, a significant cooldown throughout the eastern half of the United States, because you see, as of right now, we're pretty much right at the neutral stage when it comes to Arctic oscillation. We are not deep in the negative phase. However, we're not deep into the positive phase either. And if you don't know, if you're a new viewer or first time paying attention to weather, a negative Arctic oscillation pretty much means that temperatures throughout the eastern half of the United States should be colder than average for the most part, since the westerly winds are weaker. And I mean, the westerly winds are weaker, which means that the cold air that's in Canada has more of a chance to meander further southward rather than blow from west to east. However, when the Arctic oscillation is in a positive phase, that means that the westerly winds are stronger. So that cold air is more likely to stay in Canada because it's going to move more in an westerly to easterly direction thanks to the stronger westerly winds. So as you can see, right now we're in the neutral phase. So the westerly winds aren't strong enough to divert the cold air away from the U.S. However, they're not weak enough to really completely take out the possibility of cold air moving down to the United States. However, you see over the next couple of days, you see that the forecast when it comes to Arctic oscillation is expected to be in the negative phase, and that means we're going to see weaker westerly winds and a higher chance of big cool down in the United States, especially in the eastern half of the United States. So that's definitely something to pay attention to for this week. And in terms of what the GFS model is saying, and you can see as of right now, a lot of the eastern half of the United States is still experiencing warmer than average temperatures, mainly because there's low pressure currently located right around this area that's bringing strong southerly winds throughout the eastern half of the United States. However, on the backside of this on the backside of this trough, there's going to be strong northerly winds that are going to really bring that cold air down further southward. If we were to take a look at the current surface map based off of what the GFS model is saying, it really gives an idea of what's happening. You see that the low pressure is right around this area, and since the low pressure is entraining a lot of warmer air, the temperatures are currently warmer than average for a lot of the eastern half of the United States, since there's that pressure gradient between this ridge and this low pressure system. But you see on the back side, there was this big cool down as a result of the northwesterly winds from this low, and bigger northerly wind component as well towards this direction. And if we move forward, you see that the jet stream does dip significantly. There's a little bit of a ridge, and the ridge is bringing down a lot of cold air because the winds always on the easterly side of a ridge will always come from the north. So that's bringing a lot of that Canadian air further southward, and we're seeing a big cool down throughout the northeast and into the Great Lakes. And you see the jet stream dips so far to the point where there's that possibility that we could see quite maybe a nor'easter type low pressure system form off the coast, thanks to how much unstable air there will be in this region, because we're going to have that cold air move right over the warmer Gulf Stream water, and that really sets the stage for nor'easters to form, especially during the winter. And while typically during the month of May we don't see as many or much nor'easters at all, mainly because the air temperature and the sea surface temperature are too similar to really create very high convection, because nor'easters require just a lot of unstable air that's induced by the cold Arctic air and the extremely warm Gulf Gulf Stream air temperature. However, since during the month of May, the air temperature all throughout the United States and across the ocean is very similar to the Gulf Stream water. There isn't as much lift in that area as a result, so there's less of a chance of a nor'easter. But you see that the jet stream dip is just cold enough to induce at least some sort of nor'easter to form just off the coast of the Northeast. The good news is that this is going to be well offshore for the most part, so don't expect any major impacts at all throughout the Northeast. I think the main threat might be stronger waves off the New England coast, but and maybe gusty winds along the extreme coastal regions of New England, especially towards Maine, where the low pressure system does come relatively close to you guys. However, I do not expect any sort of major impacts from this, mainly because it's going to be too far offshore, which is certainly good news and something we want to see in terms of what the European model is saying. It's also forecasting this low to mainly stay well offshore, so no major impact should be expected. However, that cold air will still impact a lot of the eastern half of the United States. Let's take a look at the temperature anomaly provided from the GFS model, right? The 2-meter temperature anomaly, which is around the height where temperatures are recorded all throughout the United States. If we take a look at that, you see that temperatures are going to be well below average for the eastern half of the United States. Pretty much from Dallas eastward, it's going to be colder than average throughout the United States, where we're going to see areas right around 10 to 20 degrees below average in some areas in the Midwest, and a lot of areas. And you see at one point, temperatures drop below almost, I'd say, negative 16 degrees Celsius below average, which is which is a lot of degrees. That's probably 20 degrees Fahrenheit below average when it comes to temperature. So we're going to see below average temperatures all throughout the eastern half of the United States for this week. And for me, that's unfortunate because I typically like the warm weather. I want summer to begin. But we gotta go through this Arctic blast first before we even get a taste of summer. So, unfortunately, for a lot of you guys, it's gonna be colder than average for the eastern half of the United States. And your question might be, when will it end? And it might end possibly when this next trough moves through and brings southerly wind component to a lot of the eastern half of the United States. It's certainly possible. However, even the GFS currently isn't expecting it to bring a lot of that warm air that far up north, which is unfortunate. But again, I'm forecasting this right around 4 to 5 days out, so there's still a lot of time for the computer models to really narrow down how much southerly winds will bring that warm air further upwards. But as of right now, we're expecting to be in well below average temperatures for a lot of the beginning of May and throughout the next week. As there's just going to be a very strong northerly wind component with this. However, outside of the colder than average temperatures, you guys should expect throughout the United States, we also need to pay attention to this next severe weather threat that could happen in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana. While I won't say it'll be major just yet, it's far too early to say whether this will be a major severe weather threat or not. However, based on what I'm looking at, based off of the CAPE levels, or the convective available potential energy levels provided from the GFS, we could certainly see quite a decent severe weather, where you see at one point we see the oranges and the reds throughout Louisiana and Arkansas, which represents a lot of lift occurring in the atmosphere in this region. So as a result, I do expect that we could see a major severe weather. We could see at least some sort of severe weather from this. How much remains to be seen. We need to see how much unstable air there is, and it really all depends on how much cold air this trough that's going to come from behind brings, because that'll be a huge determinant on how much severe weather you should expect. Where we do see snow on the backside of this storm, so it does represent we are at least seeing a decent amount of cold air behind it. However, the jet stream dip as of right now isn't extremely strong to make this, let's say, an extreme severe weather or a major severe weather threat. you see that the jet stream sort of straightens out, but there's just enough cold air in this area to maybe induce some severe weather. But for now, I'd say that it's currently limited to severe weather, but it could change depending on how much cold air will be behind this storm, this low pressure system, as it moves further southward. And we just have to wait and see over the next couple of days. The computer models will gain more confidence as the days go by, and we're gonna see how this low pressure system moves into the Northwest Pacific, and that will really determine how much cold air there will be to set the stage for severe weather in the southeast. So the point is, we just gotta wait and see, but make sure to at least be aware throughout the southeast that another severe weather that could occur. But yeah, guys, I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather content. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather content. And I hope you guys have a good day.